My name is Coach Catherine. Like I had said a second ago, some of you are familiar faces. Some of you are brand new to me and I don't know who you are. So I'd love to hear. You can come off a mute, put in the comments section, where are you coming in from? We tend to meet people from all over the world around here. And I think that's just the most fun thing ever. So I'd love to hear who you are and where you're from. If you've never attended one of these little events with me before, I'll just give you kind of a rundown. There are a lot of things that go on the World Wide Web, on the internet, in the personal development world. Oh, you can barely hear me. Am I far away? Can everybody else hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Oh, good. Okay. Maybe let's work on our volume. Sounds good to me for Michigan. Yeah. Okay, there are a lot of events on the internet that, they carry a lot of different vibes. There's some informational, some teaching, some whiteboards and presentations and webinars and what have you. I am really just a laid back person in general. I like conversation. I like deep contemplation. I like meeting new people, hearing different points of view, and just sharing the things that I've accumulated over the years. I love having people from my actual life, like Angela is right here on the screen. Angela's been a client with me for years now. We've been contemplating life every single morning on a mastermind for literally over 2 years. So it's fun just to come in a room like this and have a really deep conversation. Something I notice and that we talk about often in my mastermind is that conversations such as the one we'll have today are not commonplace. It isn't an everyday conversation where you talk about the complexities of life, the complexities of self. Before this material, even for myself in 2020, I was living in, I guess, what most people would call the matrix, meaning everything happens to you. You have no idea that you're a conscious creator. The world around you just seems to be moving and you're moving along with it. And I want really, honestly, in my work to begin normalizing conversations like this. I have this new idea that I've called phase two. And although that's a course and a program, the idea of phase two has it's taken on more and more meaning as the weeks go by. Everyone here today would be stepping into phase two of life or has already stepped into what I would call phase two of life. And by that, I mean moving out of a place where you're the victim, things happen to you, people can make you feel a certain way, you have no control over your circumstances, moving out of that into a conscious creator, into the understanding that you do have a say, that your environment is dictating your thinking, that you are in control of your emotions. When we can step into that world and start taking personal responsibility and accountability, things change. And they
Realize you in some trouble. Maybe
hang on a minute. There we go. Okay, if everyone could mute, I'll mute you. Let's see. There we go. You're good, Angela. If everyone could step into the idea of being a conscious creator, of understanding how you move, what you want, what comprises the self. Like this is set. Oh, sorry. I've never seen that before. Yeah, we have subtitles. Well, isn't that cool? Let me back up. I created this little masterclass called Duality. And my whole idea was, because in my mastermind we're reading, and I brought one of the books with me here. We just read The Greatest Secret by Rhonda Byrne. We had read 2 of Michael Singer's books. It was The Untethered Soul and then Living Untethered. It started with Don't Believe Everything You Think. I forget the author of that one. We were just reading so many books about awareness, and every book is telling you the exact same thing, except it's being taught in a different way. And so through this conversation and then on, different prospect calls and things that I have on the side, I noticed that it's not often that we really sit and contemplate what makes up who you are. And so in my head, I'm thinking, okay, phase 2 is when we start creating consciously. And in my process, my modality is to master 2 things. One is to master the self. And in my opinion, in my understanding, the self has 2 parts. One part is the spirit, and the other part is the human condition. Then we have the process. And I look at the process as the process of personal creation. Hang on, we're letting people in here. The process of personal creation. Neil Donald Walsh in Conversations with God does a really good job of explaining this in a way that really helped me understand it. And that is the beautiful Holy Trinity, right? We have Father, Son, Holy Spirit, a imaginative idea, a conceptual idea, the experience of an idea. We have a thought, a feeling, and an action. This is the process of creation as I see it. So the entire premise in this conversation or this masterclass was because I was noticing on calls with people that all of the things we think are keeping us stuck are really of earthly form and are not who you really are. Rhonda Byrne in The Greatest Secret gave example after example after example of how we identify with the things that have happened to us. Dr. Joe Dispenza has a meditation, and if you followed me on TikTok, you might have heard me talk about this. But Dr. Joe has a podcast where he says, and he uses a different example, but that one's a little harsh, so I made my own. But the concept of, let's say that you got robbed, you got robbed at gunpoint in your car 15 years ago, and that event happened one time. And you hold on, you capture the imprint of that event, and now it's part of who you are. It's your life, it's your story. And so now in moving forward, you move forward with the identity of a victim of being robbed. It's scary, it's petrifying. We've got, even veterans, people that go to counseling for PTSD because an event or a series of events occurred to them, and they've stored this feeling internally. What I've come to understand, though, and what is entirely liberating, in my opinion, is what Dr. Joe says, what all of our great philosophers have said, and even in Rhonda Byrne's book, is that we 100% have the ability to not get rid of it, but not be emotionally identified with the things that have happened to us. There is a seat of awareness, an awareness behind who you think you are that you can return to at any moment. The concept too has been, or I think was in Rhonda Byrne's book, how your natural state is happiness. It's love, it's ease, it's freedom, it's abundance. We don't have to try to be happy. I think I agree with her. The key is to get rid of all the things that make you unhappy, to get rid of all of the negativities. So I began to wonder, and I was talking to my husband about it, if people could really understand that nothing that happens to them can dictate what you're able to do moving forward, and could really understand the power of creation that lies within them. Like the exact same intelligence that grows the tree lies within you. Even in our reading this morning, A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, he's talking about how the same intelligence that grows the tree runs your circulatory system, makes your heart beat, grows a baby. Like not all of us, not everybody, but so many people are honed in the telescope, living life, paying no mind to any of this. It's like, oh, let me just live every day, traffic jam. Like we're literally on a hurtling rock in the middle of nowhere made out of stardust. Yet we wake up and get mad about the traffic. Or we wake up and are holding a grudge from high school, from someone that hit us with a lunch tray. There's so much more to life. And so I just want to keep having conversations like this where we contemplate, what are we doing here? Like honest to goodness, what are we doing here and what are we capable of? I can think of, I don't do master classes like this often, but I can think of the last 3 I've done over the last 2 years. Every single time we get on here, we talk about, what do you want? And this was a very pivotal question that was asked to me a long time ago. Well, not that long ago, 2020. What do you want? And I'm like, I just want to make it through the week. I just want to pay my bills. I don't know what I want. The truth is, a lot of people don't know what they want. We don't know what we want. And even beyond that, we've got situations where people want the same thing for years and years and years and years and years, meaning there is no moving forward. We've got people that are afraid to want. Why? Because we don't think we're capable of having it. When you hear all of these people talk about, I was wrapped up with wishful thinking, don't get your head out of the clouds, quit imagining, quit daydreaming, whatever, it's going to do nothing but hurt you. That stuff really does store down deep. And I can tell it by talking to thousands of people over the years, all of their stories. Where did you come from? Where do you want to go? What is standing in your way? Every single time, even in my own story, there are identifications with form that create imaginary obstacles, imaginary limitations. I love the conversation, like psychology conversations. I have a therapist friend, and it's so interesting to talk about how the human mind creates synaptic connections, how we store belief systems, what all is encoded in your lens of perception. I actually drew a picture, and I wanna read it to you. I did a TikTok about this. So in your lens of perception, in the way that you view life today, and this could be you've got whatever, 5 different siblings, you all grew up in the same house, you're all going to see life differently. And our brain tends to judge things, even what we're capable of doing. So for example, there'll be a job description, right? And you have to have a certain amount of experience. Your immediate judgment about that job description is determined by or looked at through your lens of perception, which contains, and this is hardly scratching the surface, your sensory perception. So all of your senses, your cognitive processes, your ability to hold attention, your memory, your recognition, interpretation, your ability to problem solve, cultural factors, the norms, the language, the beliefs of the culture, the social factors, your peer influence, family, social, your personal beliefs, religious, political, ethical, worldview, past experiences, your upbringing, your college years, your memories, your education, your emotions, your mood, your intellect, your empathy, your personality traits, your cognitive style, your education level, your intelligence level, biological factors, your genetics, your brain structure, your the neurotransmitters, your sensories, your health conditions, your personal goals, incentives, ambitions, your self-determination, your expectations, your cognitive bias, your framing effects, your psychological state. Are you depressed? Do you have psych disorders? Literally, I've got so many more I could read to you. We are complex. We are so complex. And so it makes you wonder, and I want y'all to come off mute and talk to me. It makes you wonder when I ask the question, who do you think you are? Or do you think you know who you are? And people say, I know who I am. It makes you wonder, do we really? Do we really? And I know that we've heard before in motivational speeches, like you're doing nowhere near what you're capable of doing. Even me, man, all of us. What if we could, at any given moment, let go of all of that stuff? All of that stuff, unless it empowers you, does what? It either keeps you what you think is stagnant, or it disempowers you and makes you feel stuck. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were saying, I think I'm not moving forward. I kept saying, well, if you want it, why are you being stuck? What's holding you back? Over and over and over. And finally we got to, I just don't think I'm worthy of this. I just don't think I don't know. I just don't think I deserve it. When you ask the question, why don't you deserve it? I've never heard a valid answer. And I don't think any of us, I don't think there is one. I don't think there is a reason why you cannot be, do, and have what it is you want. Charity, not worthy and unwanted is my problem. Says who? We can go back to this lens of perception. You thinking that is in here somewhere. This isn't you. This is your human condition. That's what I'm saying. We are identified with all of this, and I'll send you guys a picture in an email. I have a whole list. It would take probably 17 whiteboards to put it all in there with all of your complexities. That's not you. And so I just want us to come here today and continue to do this and have a conversation around, if you were a blank canvas and you could create yourself on purpose, retrain yourself, re-raise yourself, re-emotionalize yourself, give yourself character traits, but also in this new awareness, take the wisdom from what you've been through. We've already, no matter what age you are or what you've been through a lot. We were just talking this morning on the mastermind. We want to go back, I'll hear of people with adult children that want to go back and change something about how they raise their kids. Oh, I could have done it different, and I could have done it different. It would have been so much better. But I believe we're all born with a bag of cats. Whether you go back and change something or not, they're still going to come out with some type of trauma. If we could rewrite who we are today and then wake up and keep remembering, which I don't think it happens overnight, but continue to remind ourselves that how we're moving through life. Like today, when you leave this masterclass and go to the grocery store, you're going to need to function in society. You know, there are cashiers, you need to make money, you have to pay your bills. That's one of these things about these conversations is we can play in the clouds, but at the end of the day, we're living in a collective reality. Whether you think it's made up or not, a matrix, it doesn't matter. Things have to get done. So what if in moving through this, we could be intentional about who we are with the understanding that we don't have to stay stuck because of old stories. And that's all it is an old story. I'm talking down to the moment in time where you could make a different decision to move yourself forward. Why don't you? That's the moment I'm talking about. When you have an opportunity to do something scary and you stop, what is stopping you? It is likely within your lens of perception, your human condition. And it has never mattered to me. I've never been in the business of trying to tell people where they came from. I'm still figuring out where I came from. I wasn't, was really not impressed by religion growing up. And I know, like my grandmother is a devout Catholic. We've got people from all denominations in our mastermind and in our other courses. I don't think it's so much about where you come from necessarily, who you think made you, whether it's a god, a cow, a rock, a moon, it doesn't matter. But whatever made you gave you an incredible toolbox, allowed you an opportunity to come down here on this planet and live out the most incredible earthly experience that you can create. What if, and it doesn't matter, again, we can all believe different things, but I find it empowering to believe that my journey here was one of remembering. And I resonated with this so much when listening or reading the Conversations with God trilogy. And he says, he says, life is not a school. You're not here to learn anything. You're here to just be who you are. You're here to do what it is that feels good. You're here to remember. I find so much liberation in slowing down sometimes and really thinking about what it's taken to get you where you're at in life right now and what it's going to take for you to move forward. I had a thought in my journal the other day. Someone had asked me, or actually commented on one of my TikTok videos where I was talking about the effortless way. And they said, that's what's wrong with this industry is people like you out here telling people they don't have to do things and they can be successful. And I love this conversation because effortless to me does not mean a lack of action. It means aligned action. I don't know if you guys have ever heard me talk about the bird with two wings. I saw this on an MLM video like years ago. I cannot find it. So I have to give credit to that guy. He used his feet. I think of it as a bird. So one wing is personal development, study, philosophy, get on things like this. So much fun, meditate, journal, all of this, very feminine, very relaxed, very nurturing. The other one is action, the doing. You got to do something. We are not in a world of instant manifestation. Again, regardless of where you think you came from, you got to do something to get somewhere. Nothing trumps the feedback from experience. So in the effortless way, what if you learned something that felt easy to remember, felt intriguing and good. And then as soon as you learned it, you implemented it to get feedback that would then ask you to learn the next thing. That cycle could be done towards anything. I know Charity on here was working on publishing a productivity journal scheduler. Charity, you could correct me, I'm probably wrong. Some type of workbook, planner. That's what it is, a planner. The same exact, planner. Have you published that yet? Please tell us. I'm gonna be checking in. We got to get it done. The same exact process can be used in creating a planner, in opening a new digital business, in starting a storefront, in whatever the pursuit is. If you could get inspired to learn a thing about who you are, about the process. You implement it and you find this beautiful balance of masculine and feminine, and you're doing it because you know you can, not because you have to. This is the other thing about life that I try so hard in all of these different ways and posts and blogs and emails to help people maybe for a moment ponder that you really don't have to lead an extraordinary life. Like that thing on your heart that you want. I just said this to someone yesterday. She wants to move forward as a spiritual life coach, to travel the world, to be a speaker, to fly with her spouse to Paris, like do all of these beautiful things. And it all starts with just getting started on social media, doing the thing. And this is the story of so many people. And when we had the conversation, like, okay, here's your options. You're a spirit here living a human experience. This is what you think you want. And you really have two choices. You either go all in and show yourself that you can do it, or you say today, I decide that I quit. I'm going to live this life for the rest of my life. This is how I want it. I want to struggle. I want to feel unfulfilled in my marriage. I want to have disconnect with my kids. I want to go places and not be able to do it. I want to have to eat junk food because I can't afford fruit. No one wants that. But that's basically what we're saying we want. Every day we wake up and stay conned by the human condition. It's a choice. And I don't think we can make the choice today that's going to last a lifetime. And later, when she says evolution over a lifetime, I think it's a day by day choice. Am I really about to not do this because of something that was coded into me during my earthly experience? 99 times out of 100, who you think you are isn't what you chose to be anyway. It's what somebody told you. Like, think about the first time, if you're someone that's always late, did you notice you were late, or did you start getting in trouble for not being on time when everybody else was? Or your mom was like, why can't you get up? Oh, why do you always sleep in? You're a procrastinator. Why can't you focus? You do things different. You're not da 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 da. And the more you hear this, it starts to become who you think you are. And then when we come to 30, 40, 50 years old, and it's time to switch careers and do something different, what comes up? Oh, I'm always late to things. That might not work. I don't normally show up the way I'm supposed to. I'm not good in front of the camera. I'm not good at articulation. I'm not really a good writer. All of these things from way back when start coming up, and none of them make sense. A lot of it has no validity. When someone starts telling me what I have to say, I can't wait to read these comments. I got one more thought, I'll lose it. That's just how it works with me. I'll get on the phone with people that when we're talking about what is standing in your way, they have a list of all of these different physical world things that they think are keeping them stuck. The number one thing that keeps someone from moving forward is money. They say, my finances are keeping me stuck. So then the question would be, and if you feel this way, I'd ask you the same question. The question would be, if it's the finances that are keeping you still, then what is keeping you from creating finances? You'll notice if you break down any belief that you think you have as to why you can't be, do, or have a thing, most of them are not rooted in a physical event. So, for someone that might say, well, I don't want to publish this thing online because it'll probably flop. How many things have you personally published online that flopped? Sometimes maybe one, sometimes maybe two, a lot of times none. A lot of times it doesn't even make sense. So even using logic, and I think the logic patch was introduced to me from the book, The Spontaneous Healing of Belief by Greg Braden. He talks about the ways to change beliefs, and logic is one of them. And it makes a lot of sense. I don't know if you guys have ever read that. If not, you should totally pick up that book. It was such a random read in the mastermind, but it's really, really good. All right, let me pause for a second and read some of these. Okay. Wow. Not worthy and unwanted. Past trauma shaped my negative beliefs. Guilty there. So we could even talk about what trauma is. Both my human condition and my spiritual condition are extremely complex, and why I know you can help me. Yeah, they are complex, Aurora. All of them are. Planner. Been allowing myself to talk to myself out loud like I did when I was little. I stopped because family called me crazy. Oh my gosh. Yes, I do that too. My brain uses a lot of logic to completely talk me out of stuff. I've always been verbal processor. I got to give you guys a trick. Can you hear my baby crying? Can you hear her? She's in there like, let me out of here. I'm a mom. No? Okay. I'm a mom life. All right. Just because you said that, I got to tell you something. So when I started thinking into results with Bob Proctor, well, with a Bob Proctor consultant, we were given like a routine that we had to do, right? Here's your workbook, here's your routine, do your gratitudes, this, that, and the third. And I was always taught that I needed to put pen to paper in order to write stuff out. And I was, oh, I don't like to write. Oh, that's a paradigm, get over it. That's a paradigm, get over it. Well, I really didn't like to write. And I did kind of get into it, like, all right, let's journal. I noticed though that my mind would go faster than my hand, and then your hand starts cramping and I couldn't type as fast. I started an audio diary probably 2 years ago. Every single day of my life in the afternoons, I chat about how my day has been. I talk things out like, oh, my client's going through this, or this is the personal thing, or I need to get an oil change, whatever comes to mind. I free form and talk things out. I also do this if I have a challenge, like, okay, here's this thing I want to make, and I'm confused about this and this and that and this and that. And if you close that thing down and come back a day later, a couple hours later, and listen to it, not only do you hear the energy in your voice, you can pick up on your thought trains, you can become an observer to your own situation. So now this human condition that you're all wrapped up and screwed up in, you're able to get outside of and see from a bird's eye view. So anyway, I just had to, that's like a side note, but I 100% recommend auditory. Even the girls in my phase 2 course right now, I'm having them go on a Google Doc and voice to text their answers to all of our questions. You can do it anywhere. Do it when you're walking. And I love to hear all the things, like hearing how your mind goes from one thing to another is fascinating. And it's not you. That's the other cool part. You learn a lot about your conditioning. I learned by all 3 methods: auditory, tactical, visual. I think I know too much about myself, if that's even possible. No, I don't think that's possible. Did also change my goal, redirected path, just got done revamping the planner. Okay. Always feel less than. Stage fright is 100% a block. I know when it began and how, but have spent decades actively trying to overcome it. And while I have been partially, not fully. Toastmasters. Always so inspired by your words. Mwah, love you. Been doing the reminded prompts between journal. Oh, I love that. Okay. I love this. Let me back up. So Aurora has stage fright. I know when it began and how, but it's been decades actively overcoming it. What exactly, this is a good example. What exactly is there to overcome? Like, honestly, when you think about it, I had a conversation with Brian Proctor several months ago, and he says, even at his age and as many years as he's been on stage, every time he goes to get on that stage, he has a moment of fear. His voice box gets tight. He starts to sweat a little bit. And then the moment he gets on the stage and has the opening sentence, it all melts away. So I would wonder what exactly is the block? Okay, guys, I would love for you to put in the comment section or come off mute and talk to me. What do you think, honest to goodness, if you were to like write down what your goal is? This is not like a goals masterclass, so I won't interrogate you about where you're going, although I think it's very important. I'll keep etching in on the internet my little saying that you cannot make a to-do list if you don't know where you're going. And we can't get somewhere without doing something, but I won't try to roast and toast you on your goals. I want to know though, for real, what you think is holding you back. And I also want us to pay attention to the different levels of this. I noticed this within myself too. Sometimes it is this overarching thing that holds you back, this mental thought. And then sometimes it's a physical activity, like a physical thing in your day-to-day that you're addicted to, that you can't get away from, that you just keep doing. And I find the most popular one these days is scrolling social media. You know how many people that I've heard. And I got in this slump for about 6 months. I was slacking on gratitude because I was spending my mornings scrolling on social media. So even when you say, I don't have time, imagine collecting all of your bathroom breaks, your unnecessary trips up and down the stairs, and your time on social media. Calculate that and see how much time we have. I'd love to hear what holds you back. Okay, let me back up. I've been
I
through.
think I struggled to find my voice.
Oh, find your voice. Okay, tell me more.
Well, I would like to do more on social media. I think I have a lot of things that people would find interesting. My life has been quite colorful, and I don't mind sharing.
Mhm.
When I'm in the grocery store, I can talk to a random stranger and just chatter on for days. But the moment I pick up this phone or a camera or get on a stage or anything, it's gone. I do know when it started, and you can see it still builds up emotion, which I know is part of the holdup. I've taken public speaking classes, and I do have more ability to speak to an active audience, but I still have to grip the podium for death's door not to fall down because my knees are shaking so bad. You can hear the waver in my voice as I'm conversing with you because I'm pensive.
Mm.
This started when I was 12 because of my mom. Don't know.
What happened? What'd she do? If you don't mind sharing. Was it an emotional impact or a repetition thing?
Well, I didn't have a very good mother. And I was in a competition at 4-H camp for a talent show. And the competition was supposed to be this Saturday, afternoon thing at the school. And I was so excited. I had a song built up because I have always loved to sing, and I had everything good to go. And come Saturday morning, my mom gathers me and my brother up, and we're on the road. And I'm like, "Where are we going?" She's like, "We're going to your grandmother's." And I said, "But I've got this competition this morning. What are we doing?" She's like, "No, you're going to your grandma's. You wouldn't have won it anyway. There's just no point."
Oh. Hmm. Hmm.
And because of many, many other things from the years before that, seeing my grandfather commit suicide, being tossed away after that to a children's home, all these things created a thing. And I have worked very hard to get over damn near everything. But this stage fright thing, oh, frustrates me at me.
Mm. I don't know how this will land with you, but I'm just curious that if someone came to you today, having went through that, and you have an elevated awareness, you're older now, you're wiser now, and you can maybe look back and see your mom for what was actually going on with her. I've had to do a lot of this with my own mom. She's a heavy alcoholic, just a lot of stuff. And I had to take care of her my whole life. I was making her bills and, paying for her way and all of this. And I was so resentful until I was able to look and see what type of person does it take to act like that? Like, what has to happen to you for that to be the way you express yourself? And it kind of, for me, took it away from you piss me off and I don't like this to a place of compassion, almost sympathy in a way. So I just wonder, if you look back at it with your elevated awareness today, what do you think she actually meant?
um, she probably thought in her mind that it was a way for me not to get hurt at losing something or the potential to lose it. And if I did, that would be more devastating than to just not let me compete at all.
Mhm.
I guess I'm the cause of my mother's problems too. She was in labor for 3 days with me. I spent 3 days in the birth canal, come out looking like a little cone head. She
Aw,
hemorrhaged to death so she had a near death experience.
wow.
And looking back at a lot of stuff, I realize now that I understand these things better, wow, she spent her entire life trying to grasp back hold of something that she couldn't quite remember. So her near death experience really messed up her head.
Mhm.
And a lot of that got taken out on me as the child who was the creator of said problem.
Right.
So I do understand those things. There's been a lot of forgiveness and a lot of all that stuff that went on. If I could just get past this stage fright thing, girl, I do so much. I'm a polymath. I'm not a jack of all trades. I don't even worry about the trades. I am a crafter and I know them all, or as many as all as I can squeeze into my life.
Hmm. How often do you give yourself an opportunity to get on stage?
Oh,
Wow.
every day I wake up and swear I'm gonna do a video, and I do little things in the car and stuff that I never show anyone, but at least it's my attempt to try and get used to talking to myself. Conversation is easy. Talking to the invisible world, not so much. You do a great job of it though. Whew.
Thank you. I've got this little, it's not mine, but I love it. I literally want to get it tattooed on my body. I have no tattoos, but I love the idea of just fuck around and find out. To be honest with you, stage fright, if it were in liquid form, would it be a cup of stage fright? Would it be 2 cups of stage fright? If it's 1 cup or 2 cups, could we pour it out just as quickly? Like you can't touch it, you can't hold it, you can't smell it. You can think about it, you can experience effects of the thought about it, but you can't hold it. So is the thing that's invisible that you can't hold stronger than you? No. Where can you get over it? You can contemplate getting over it. You can think about getting over it. You can think about how hard it'll be to get over it. You can think about how long it'll take you to get over it. You could think about how it's really going to suck when you don't get over it. You could think about how you're going to feel like shit if you don't try to get over it. So you can think about a lot of things, but ultimately, this is where I come in and say, just fucking do it. Just open the phone, feel like crap, shake in the knees, record the video, hit post, close it down, go cry, wake up tomorrow, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. Angela's working on this too. Sorry to call you out. You don't have to talk about it, but Angela is pretty new. Not maybe stage fright, but like looking at yourself in the camera, talking about something in a cohesive way. You know, it's, oh, I'm online, but how do I be conversational? Like, yeah, it's probably hard, but I can't believe for a second that it isn't something you can overcome. What if it's just a thing? That's part of this story thing I'm talking about. I asked one of my clients the other day, she's talking about healing with her mother. And she's like, well, what else is there? What else do I do to heal this? I mean, this is all the way from when I was a kid. And I asked her, why do you think it has to take a long time? Why does healing have to take a long time? Why does it have to be hard? Could that be a story? I'm not dismissing that some things are really deep and some things do take time. But in order for it to have the potential to take time, there must also be the potential that it doesn't have to. That'd be like that blunt force trauma moment. I'm freaking done. I'm absolutely done. I experienced this when I quit smoking cigarettes. I smoked cigarettes for years. And there was one time my mom got hospitalized yet again, and she's been hospitalized many times after. Emphysema, COPD, can't breathe. She's going to suffocate. Like she's going to die by suffocation. And I told this story the other day. About 2 years ago, there was just this blunt force moment where the very thing I felt like I had in order to survive, I just said, I'm done. Like I'm done. It's going to be hard, but I'm going to do it. I did it when I had kids. I've done this with other things. Same thing with stage fright. It's all the same. Nothing, no part of that human condition, to me, in my opinion, is stronger than your spiritual essence. I believe we're God in physical form. You are divinity experiencing life. So it's beautiful to know what it feels like to have stage fright. You know how good it'll feel when you've conquered it? Someone without stage fright will feel really proud of themselves for going and delivering something on stage. Someone with debilitating stage fright will have a completely different feeling once they've successfully went and done something on stage. You know what I mean? It's a
Yes.
it's a blessing, and you're a badass, and you know it. I don't even have to know you to know that, because all humans are. My experience is that in order to understand it, I have to do it. Exactly, babe. That's what I'm saying. I find people literally put themselves in a state of almost insanity, contemplating, well, what if this and what if that, and maybe this and maybe that, and he said this and she said that, and that happened, and this and this and that and that and that. And it's not that. And I love, love, love how our book today said, it's not that like you don't necessarily stop that. It's not that it's good or bad, but what happens with all that incessant chatter is that you've become conned by it. You really think that that's who you are and that's your story. Your human condition has an element of stage fright. You're not stage fright. Anyway, I won't keep harping on you, but I love that.
Thank you.
So brave of you to come off mute and talk to us here, especially with that being your story. That's so good. Oh, I love that. You've got lots of love in the comment section, by the way. Okay, let's see. The how. How do I get the business to get noticed? That's a good question. You be who you are. My love for my family and their needs for me, but I am setting boundaries and working on, yes. Boundaries are huge, Charity. Oh, so much love, Aurora. How pretty is that? She was saving you from the same thing that happened to her when she was young. Very insightful, Angela. Scrolling TikTok, I gotta stop. What would it mean if you were successful at being up on stage? That's a good question, Aurora. Biggest blocks.
I've been kind of thinking about maybe a fear of success being something that's stopping me, because a lot of I dropped it. I had a time where I felt like I for a long time didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, so I kind of dropped out of college and said I'm gonna stop pretending that I do know where I'm going, kind of thing. And I know kind of about what I want to do with my life. I don't exactly know how I want to do it. And I think that that's been frustrating for me for a long time. It's because I want to know what I'm supposed to be doing so I can, start doing it. But at the same time, part of me is like, what if I start this thing and am successful and then people expect more than I can give?
Okay. What else would be wrapped up in the fear of success? I've always questioned that, and I can't, I don't have all the answers, but I used to
For
say,
me,
go ahead.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
For me personally, I feel like it goes back to being a kid. I am visually impaired, and I know everybody was trying to be encouraging throughout my childhood and young childhood and even my teens, of like my stepmom would say that my eyes didn't work, but my arms and legs and brain weren't broken, things like that. And I would also have like people like my dad or my grandparents, people in town, say that even though I'm visually impaired, I'm going to be a great teacher or public speaker, or it was always like public speaker or inspirational this or that, because of the visual impairment. And part of me kind of felt like, why can't I just, like, even if I do want to teach, why do I have to go teach the visually impaired or blind? That's not a great thing to do, but like,
No, it makes sense.
why do I have to go and do why do I have to go and do the extraordinary things?
Mhm.
And like, I kind of felt like I was born with a success story already written, type of thing. And they found out I was visually impaired, and they were all like, but she's still gonna do great things. And I don't know if they realized how much pressure that I ended up internalizing from that. And then when I dropped out of college, I was like, well, what great things am I doing now? And then that started a whole thing within myself.
Mm-hmm. So you don't at this point know what you would love to do? I think this conversation around what is your purpose and you absolutely need to get paid for your passion and like just all of this also puts invisible pressure. And I don't know if you've read Haley Conversations with God. I wouldn't pressure you to read all three, but especially book one when he talks about you're here to do what you're doing right now. Like, what if that's just all there is to it? And I can understand, oh, hi, check thumbs up. I can understand where you're coming from there, where they like created these big shoes for you to fill. But even in that, what does it mean to be successful? It, my original
Right. And
question,
that's kind of what I was feeling like is for that, for me, I felt like I couldn't live up to because for me, it would be being in a place, maybe perhaps with, um, either sustaining myself or with a partner who loves me, able to make ends meet and had a job that I'm happy at and enjoy going to work. I don't want to come home from work every day grumpy. But, that sounds like success to me. And I also want to help people and fill other people's cups. I've always wanted to help or inspire people. But for them, it sounded like success for me was either being on TV or traveling all over to this college and that, or this blind center and that, and flying all over and doing all these things. And would that be cool at some point to do? Would I be honored to if I got my voice out there? Because I definitely want to get my voice out there, but I'm kind of accepting that it doesn't have to be on as grand of a scale as they were trying to make those shoes in a way. And I'm kind of trying to find my in the middle in a
it,
way.
like that to me sounds like another good example of your parents just want what's best for you. And it's like, I don't know where the story is, somewhere in one of our old books. Maybe it's Think and Grow Rich. There's a story about a blind boy or something. Anyway, it makes me think of like, why do we need to use, why does your whole life need to be revolved around this impairment, if you will, right? And it as a mom,
Mhm.
I could feel it being like, oh, don't feel bad about it. It's going to make you a superstar. You're going to travel all over the world.
Yep.
It's okay. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. Like, don't have feelings, like this overprotective, whatever. I get how from like 0 to 13, some people say 16, some people say 11. You can't really help what you take in. You're a big sponge, all of this. But when you get to an age of understanding, you just have to say none of that matters. I have to ask one more question. I won't harp you, but feel free to book a call because I'd love to chat about your goal. Um, are they still today pressuring you to be, do, or have a certain thing, to be a certain way?
Yeah, it has kind of been expressed to me a couple of times that there is a want for me to go back to college. But I honestly want to, and that's kind of where I'm having the hard time is I kind of know what I want to do. Part of me wants to, I want to make videos and I also would love to get to a place where I can read tarot for people. Um, I love reading tarot and oracle, and I feel like part of me is like, I don't have any XYZ. I don't really have a resume. Who's gonna, even if it's from cards, take advice from me type of thing in a way. But I know that that's what I want to do, and I'm not giving up on it type of thing. So regardless if it's reading all the books or even just making a video with a filter, that's until I get to a point where I can put a video with some cards in it again.
Mhm.
Because I had some blockages with that, but there is very much a want for me to go back to college and take the, straight and much traveled route.
Mhm.
But I've been very firm in no, that's not what I want to do. I don't exactly know how to do what I want to do yet, but I know what I want to do, and I know that's not it.
I am down to have this conversation with you. I love building businesses. I love the online world. I love how easy it is to make connections and make money and change your life and change the lives of others and feel so inspired and get really good at it and make it just who you are and how your life works. The internet opens up a beautiful opportunity for people. In the certification world, I don't know what certifications you could get to read tarot. It's a very intuitive thing. And I find that even in this industry, I just said this yesterday, in like my almost 5 years of doing this, I've maybe been asked for proof of certification 3 or 4 times. It's just not something that typically comes up. Although we are certified, you could go get a certification and it might make you feel better. But in that type of industry, it's about a feeling. And again, you won't know step 2 until you take step 1. If y'all take nothing else from this, I pray to God you take that, is like, you got to do the thing in order to know what the next thing is. So if it's to make a video, I would just do it in whatever capacity you possibly can. It's like hold your breath. You know, they say 1, 2, 3, go. Mine is like 1, 2, go, like cold plunge in, hold your breath. Oh my God, I'm just going to do it. And the more you do it, it naturally gets easier, right? It's with everything. So let's try not to make it a big deal. Like, it just is what it is. It's okay. What if that first video changes your entire life? What if you have a video that goes viral and your life never looks the same again? You just never know. You don't know what it's going to
I
look.
made some videos, but that could still happen with another one.
Yeah. Well, you just never know. Y'all
I've
see,
always wanted to like have a booth at a metaphysical fair, but I feel like one of the things that has always stopped me is I see the little blurbs about the readers that they do have, and it always says insert tarot reader here has been a blah 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 for 25 plus years, and I'm like, but they had to but they had to start somewhere.
yes.
Like, what are the little steps that you're doing to get to these? How do you become somebody who's been reading tarot professionally for 25 years and now just has this booth? How do you get?
Start
You're
reading
at
tarot
Z,
now.
I'm
That's
at A, and I don't see where B and C and the rest of them are. What
you
what
read
is
every
your secret?
single day. You do it every single day. You study every single day. I talked to my husband about this. I've got well over 10,000 hours worth of study under my belt in my industry. How do you do it? Just one book at a time. Every single day I wake up and I get on this mastermind with my people and I contemplate really deep philosophical, personal development, spiritual concepts, and it adds on itself. It's not one day. Like we say this all the time. You can't expect that on July 32nd, listen to me, July 31st is the day that I have confidence, the day that I have the ability to speak on stage, the day, whatever. Your character isn't created like that generally. It's an accumulation. It takes time. So how do you become a tarot card of 25 years, babe? We know how to do that. You start yesterday. You start today and you just keep going. I'll
I'm
guarantee.
like, I've been reading for myself for a while, but part of me has been like, do I just put a TikTok video up saying, if you want a reading, shoot me a DM and I'll DM you a link to the YouTube video?
Yeah.
Because part of me is like, how do I get people?
Yes.
How do I get people? I feel like these metaphysical fairs are how people meet other witchy people, but these people already have people. Where are these people coming from? From where do these people flock?
I'm happy to have a call. We can talk about strategy. I'll just say right here, right now, that TikTok literally changed my life, my whole entire life. So, putting yourself in a place where people are is probably a really good idea and a great place to start. So I'm happy to chat with you. We can you can text me. We can go back and forth. I should do a social media masterclass at some point. That'd be a lot of fun. Aw, I believe in you. I believe in you. You're badass. Thank you for sharing. Okay, you can do it. I'll be looking for you on TikTok. Who is that? Yeah, Brian to Aurora, I believe. Absolutely. You better shoot us your username. Have a fear of success because I don't feel worthy enough to keep it up. And maybe also imposter syndrome. I was going to say this. I love that. I was going to say this to Haley there. There's this little affirmation that I love. And I feel like if you really play with it and try your best to keep it as your undercurrent, it really changes the game. I believe that I am the type of person that will handle whatever comes to me whenever it comes to me. I always have the ability to handle whatever is in front of me. Always. You might not be the type of person, like I just heard a story the other day of someone saying, I wasn't the type of person that could handle bankruptcy until I had to file for bankruptcy and had that experience. I'm not the type of person that has to overcome XYZ, a health challenge, the loss of a parent, the loss of a child. Hope that never happens to anybody. It's terrible. Like, you don't become that type of person until you're granted the experience to become that type of person. So you won't know if you're afraid of success until you get there. And I don't think that's what I was going to say earlier. I'm not sure that anyone's really afraid of success. Like, if you think about, this is so blurry and I can't wipe it because I don't have anything. Do you guys see the glare? I'm so sorry. If there were 2 boxes on a bench and no one in the world saw you, no one would ever know the choice you made, no one would ever know. 2 boxes, one had $100 and the other one had 100 million. Who here would be too afraid to take the 100 million? Like, if you could just put it in your bank account and whatever, buy the house, no one's going to judge you, no one's going to criticize you, no one's going to expect anything from you, you're probably not going to be afraid to take it. Your life isn't threatened, like nothing is going to happen. We wouldn't generally choose to not have it. I also think, though, to piggyback off of that, like, it's not all about the money. And I talk a lot about this in other containers, but to me, prosperity is a full circle idea. It is having true well-being and a feeling of joy and peace in all of your areas of life. And one example I've given before is, if you come to me and say, I won't be happy till I have $200,000 a year from my current job. Are you sure? Like, what if that $200,000 means you have no relationship with your kids? Like, whatever, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. It gets complex though. It gets complex. We need clarity. Let me back up here. I saw another message. I think, Brian, you can do it. Okay, hang on. Other people's opinions should not matter. Other people's opinions are not your business, but it's a hard concept. I wish I could shut it off. Yeah, that's definitely easier said than done. Hope everyone feels inspired today to do something for fun, putting old opinions and beliefs behind them. I love that. It'll feel amazing, one step at a time. If biggest little word in the dictionary. Amen. Beautiful people here. So much inspiration. Love this. Have a meeting. Have to pop off. Thank you for sharing. Love you, Stacy. I
almost have to laugh. Sorry. I heard the other people's opinion of you is your business, and that used to, I'm trying to simmer down with that because that used to make me so, it's about me. How is it not my business? If that paper says Haley on it, how is that not my business?
If it's about me, how is it none of my business? There again, I think it's one thing to know it, the other thing to get involved in it. It makes me think of the news, right? You can hear something on the news just to know what's going on, or you can hear something on the news and your entire life alters. Now your entire life is different. Plus, what someone else thinks of you is a mirror. That's another complex conversation. How can they see something in you that they can't see within themselves? I don't want to be needed anymore, but sure would be nice just to be wanted, hence having to leave for a few minutes. Yeah, that's a big distinction, Charity, needed and wanted. Someone shared a little skit with me. I think it was Jennifer Aniston, and she was griping at her old man to wash the dishes, and he finally washed the dishes, and she said, I don't want you to wash the dishes. I want you to want to wash the dishes. Kind of feels like that. Love TikTok. Hope we can find something similar. Oh, there's Aurora's TikTok, y'all. You got to copy it. Let me copy that myself. I'm about to take a picture. No more bull crap rules. Have you guys ever heard The Code of the Extraordinary Mind or read that book? He talks about rules. Oh, what is this? Angie. This is another TikTok. We're going to follow you. Okay, guys. I just want to catch up because you're letting outside people affect your decision. Why is it your business? It's your choice to network. Okay. Thank you all for your contribution. Does anyone else have something off the top of their head they'd like to share? I just saw Brian on camera for a second. I don't know if you have something you'd like to share. I really love the sharing. I think that's how we grow here. Hey. No? Okay. Let me know. I'm here. Let me pull back. We just spoke about a lot of stuff. I think this is so fun. I'm going to restate the intention of a conversation like this. The most important thing I feel in this work, at least in my world right now, is understanding truly that you're more than a walking meat suit. And I'm here to be the one to tell you, it is one thing to hear that and say, yes, I know. 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 Even come on classes like this and hear all of this stuff and get stuck in the I know syndrome. I already know that. I know I need a goal. I know I need to take a step. I know I need to post on social media. I know I should love myself. I know the opinions of others don't matter, blah, 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 blah. It's one thing to know it, but I promise it's not enough. You gotta be it. So I don't know if anyone here has ever had like a transcendental moment in meditation or some like huge aha awareness where you all of a sudden woke up and felt like you're on top of the world. Even done like, what do you call them, hallucinogenics, like some people have experiences like that in those, like doing acid or LSD or ayahuasca or ibogaine, and like you have these crazy experiences. That is one way, and I think those are beautiful. That's a beautiful way of like waking up and feeling completely overcharged and really excited. Like my husband, when he was younger, did acid or something like that and had a very profound experience, and it lasted for a minute, but then it wore off. And so then you get this high hit and then it wears off, and you get this high hit and it wears off. And what I would love for people to do is to hold on to that feeling, like a pendulum swing. We don't have to go way over here. Oh my gosh, everything is so magical. I'm God, I'm this, I'm that. It's so crazy. Or way over here, everything sucks. Why am I here? Like this beautiful center ground of underlying peace, love, happiness, and fluidity. What if life could be easy? What if the things you think are hard are not? What if the things you think you're not capable of, you are? What if it just takes doing something different to get a different result? And again, that's one of those things. Yes, Catherine, Einstein's been saying that forever, but are you actually doing it though? Like, if you know that, are you actually doing something different? And then, positive thinking, whatever. We're not supposed to have only positive days, but have you actually slowed down to think about what you're thinking about most of the time? To pay attention to the feeling that you carry most of the time, to look at your results and give yourself an honest inventory and say, I understand where I'm at today, right now, that if I do not do something different, I will remain here indefinitely until I make a new choice. How pissed will I be if I look back on this day a year from now and I'm still in the same spot? What if I just do this tiniest little action? And I've been inspiring people to just do one thing for a very long time. And I hope that, and even starting this conversation, I would love for you guys to get this book. I'm about to turn to a random page and read from it. The Greatest Secret. I think anyone could understand this if you just read it slowly, read it over and over again, really embody and feel what it is that she's saying. If we can walk in the awareness that we're not what happens to us, we get to create what happens to us. I believe that we're here on planet Earth because we get to be here. It's not a curse, it's a blessing. Like the magic of watching things grow. We have oxygen. I don't know if you guys, and it could be controversial, but if you guys watch the Terrence Howard interview with Joe Rogan, like even listening to something like that about how our universe works and how the cosmos work and how it's a big pulse beat and it's an in and an out. And when you start just slowing down a minute and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm actually really special. I am part of a magnificent creation. And hardly anything physically is keeping me from moving forward and having the life I want. I'm going to keep saying it. You don't have to lead an extraordinary life. You don't have to make a lot of money. You don't have to take nice vacations. You don't have to have the best sex of your life, the most intimate relationship with a spouse in your life, the best relationship with your kids. You don't have to love yourself. You don't even have to do that, but you get to. And I hope that really sinks in. Like, if you get to do it, why would you not do it? If the smallest little things you could do on a daily basis changed your life forever, would it not be worth it? If a moment of discomfort, like with Aurora and speaking on stage, if it took 5 times of shaking in your shoes, 2 out of the 5 of feeling like you're about to faint, to get over a feeling you've had since you were a teenager, wouldn't it be worth it? Of course it would. The alternative is, I'm on my deathbed and wonder, had I just done it, would I have gotten over it? Would it have really been as bad as I made it seem in my head? Seems like there's a lot of you on here right now that have, and this is, again, I don't know what about what I do kind of brings these people in, but it always seems to be about business. I want to create this business. I want to open this business. I want to get in front of people. I want to make more money. I want to lead with my passion and my purpose. I think we should do something about that. Like, I think I should have a little masterclass about social media. I did a TikTok intensive back at the start of 2023. And at that time, I only had 6,800 followers, and a lot has changed since then. We could even get on here and talk about that and how to utilize that and find your voice. Although I learned in that, it comes right back to what we're talking about here today. And this is how these things evolve. That masterclass at the beginning of 2023 was primarily strategy. You know how many people took it and did something with it? Same statistic Bob would say, 1%. 1% of people that joined that masterclass, which I think I had like 112 people, and they paid for it. And we did this 2-day experience. Only 1% of those people took what I spoke about and actually grew a massive following and started making money on TikTok. Not everybody did it. And so why is that? Well, it definitely wasn't because the strategy didn't work. It was what we're talking about here today. You come to something like this, you get inspired, you're excited, you make a decision, you think you do, and then you get off and get wrapped back in your human condition, which is why I think it's so important to monitor your proximity. Who are you around? What are the people in your environment talking about on a daily basis? Are you around people that are doing the things you want to do? Even if they're not getting the physical results that you want to get, are they at least working toward it? Who's your circle of influence? If you watch Terrence Howard's video even, you can see how you can't help but to become in harmony with the energy that you're around most of the time. It happens to you. You're not in control of it. You can infiltrate it. You can try to control it. But if you don't really pay attention, if you don't put conscious awareness on it, you become the atoms, like invasive plants, even the vibration of the ocean. Like, you can't help but to get in harmony with the energy that you're around. Then there's a certain distance, and I don't have the quote right here, but there's a certain distance between the event or the intention away where that energy no longer infiltrates you. It's like the smell of cookies. I don't know about you, but I smell the cookies more upstairs. I can smell a pizza burning upstairs, but can't smell it burning downstairs. Like, there's a distance in air. Then when you get outside, you don't smell it. It's the same thing. I believe with us, we're no different. We're all made of the same thing. If you're stuck, we got to start really looking at what's the cause here. I've always loved the idea of knocking that shit down at the foundational level, at the root level, not all of these, ding dong, top things. Who are you and what are you doing here? What are you made of? What process does everything in this entire planet live by? How are things created? How does nature work? How do humans use nature's laws? If you know those two things, you are literally unstoppable, in my opinion. Nothing else matters. We can't be wrapped up in conversations with people talking about how we can't do a thing, how we're not enough, reaffirming a limiting identity, talking about how the goals are too big, talking about the minutia of the day, the gossip, the news, blah, 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 all of the drama. Like, guys, that to me, there is in symbology, it's opposite. My husband's a Freemason, so it's opposite in the symbology of it. But the way I look at like the telescope or the triangle is that if it's like, yeah, I can't even draw it. I don't have a piece of paper. The tip of the triangle to me is like conned by the earthly matter, conned by the news, the things that your neighbor says, the fact that your neighbor won't let their kids come hang out at your house. I'm experiencing that right now. They're like, you can play in the yard, but don't go in their house, instantly. It's like, well, why? Well, fuck you, that's that's the human, that's the earthly stuff. We don't have to be zoomed into that without having the awareness of where we came from. You can live zoomed into the matrix by paying your bills, paying your rent, balancing your checkbook, saving for retirement, going on vacation, watching the news to know if there's a war that's about to come up on your doorstep. You can do that, but still be seated in the seat of awareness. I'm going to turn to a random page. Oh, wait, Angela. Conversations with God is key to freeing me up in what I thought about myself and how I can or cannot do a thing, freeing me from judgments and knowing that what I want is supported. A frickin' min. I'm telling y'all, every time I get a chance, I talk about the Conversations with God trilogy, because if y'all have not read it, you have to. It's a game changer. It's an absolute game changer. All right, I turn to a random page. I do this thing. I know we're about out of time here. I don't want to keep y'all forever. I do this random thing where I turn to a random page in a book and I read it to you and we see what we get from it. And because this is my favorite book that we've just read, I want to do it out of this one. So, okay. Fortunately, your mind is a magnificent tool. Your positive thoughts of what you want can not only turn your life around, but also give you great happiness and joy. If you only thought about what you wanted, your life would be amazing. But many are caught in the addictive pattern of believing the negative thoughts, and it's freeing yourself from this loop of negative thinking that is needed and can be done quite easily. Your awareness will help set you free. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the mind. The trouble only begins when we believe it's negative thoughts. When you feel worried, it's because you're believing worried thoughts. When you feel doubt, it's because you're believing doubtful thoughts. When you feel anxious, upset, disheartened, scared, disappointed, irritated, impatient, revengeful, depressed, hateful, or any other negative emotion, it is because you are believing your thoughts. And while you hold on to these emotions by continuing to believe your thoughts, your mind will give you even more of the same. A depressed feeling will produce more depressing thoughts, giving you a depressing perspective of people, circumstances, and events, which makes you feel even more depressed, and around we go. Thought is so cunning, so clever that it distorts everything for its own convenience. When we believe the mind's negative thoughts, we get pulled into our mind-made movie, and then we're guaranteed to experience more stress and suffering. Self-inflicted misery arises when we believe our negative thoughts. Last paragraph. You are responsible for everything you feel. They are your feelings and they are your thoughts. You turn them on, you think them, and no one else but you does it. And then you act as though you have no control. You turn on a faucet that flows in your head, and then you say, oh, someone's getting me all wet. It's you who's turning on the faucet and getting yourself wet. So your direction should be taking full responsibility for what's happening to you. Then you'll see by looking in the direction of, I am doing this, that you are. Then when you see that you're torturing yourself, you'll say, oh my gosh, how stupid can I be? And then you'll stop. Instead of torturing yourself, you'll make yourself happy. Lester Levinson. This book is golden. It's an absolute golden nugget. Please read it. If I could send everyone a copy like instantly, I would totally do it. I know that there's a PDF online, so I can do that. I can send that to you. I can send that to you in an email. This resonates so much right this minute. Let me write that down. Send. Greatest secret. Okay, y'all. Does anyone have a thought before I wrap this up and give you some final messages here? How about you, Angela?
I was going to say something that really helped me is I grew up in a faith-based community. And so everything I did, had right or wrong attached to it. And when I was able to let go and understand that my God, universe, whatever you want to call it, was not judgmental, and that I was born perfectly, and anything I wanted was universe given, whatever was intuitive was my right. I was able to move forward and make decisions in my life that I hadn't been able to make in a long time. And that came from knowing that each one of us is perfect, just the way we're born. And it's all that added stuff that is put on up to us from our parents, our community, our faith, whatever, and the belief that we have. Letting go of those negative beliefs has created such freedom in my life that I have been able to move forward. Yes, I have some fears around going online, and that's part of it, but I'm getting over it, which is great. And having confidence that I am just the way I am supposed to be. I am not broken, and there's nothing wrong with me. So that's been very helpful. And the Conversations with God, there were other books, but that one was very key in letting me go of the judgments around my faith. So that was a huge thing for me. So
Oh
that's
man,
helpful.
your journey, like watching your journey over this amount of time has really been incredible. And I think too, even when we talk about, limiting belief this, limiting belief that, it's really evident when you slow down and pay attention in your day-to-day life, how a lot of the things that keep us stuck are like a fundamental 5 beliefs, like these 5 things we think are true that are manifesting themselves in all these different ways. And if you can eliminate that, then what? You don't have to try and be somebody. I love that. I love that. You're perfect just the way you are. Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. That's a feeling though. That's another one of those examples. It's easy to say that. You're beautiful just the way you are. Be present, be happy, all this stuff. Like, it's one thing to say it, but to really truly believe that in your heart is the experience I wish for everybody to have.
Right. And the other thing that's been helpful, and before I met Catherine, this is part of it, I just was not integrating it, was I do not want to go out of this life with any regrets. And that is one of the number one things that drives me. It might take me longer, but it drives me to keep going. I will have no regrets when I am no longer here.
I love that. Speaking of that, I like to think of it like, when I'm telling my story, and whether that be on a stage, in a book, in a journal entry to give to your kids, whatever it is, on your deathbed, when I'm telling my story, how do I want to say I handled this moment right now? So for the fear of stage fright in our story, do we want to say, yep, I had stage fright for all of my life and I never moved forward? Like, that's okay. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's each to their own, right? Your own story. Or do you want to say, man, I carried it, and then all of a sudden I just had this moment where I'm like, I will not succumb to this. I'm doing something with it. It's also that feeling of how it's so unsettling to think you might be able to do something and then never know. That isn't that like, I can't stand that energy. It's pending. It feels uncomfortable. Just fuck around and find out. Excuse my French, but for real. I love that, Angela. Oh my God. No regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets. That's so good. Okay. Anybody else have a thought?
I have a question. Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
Go ahead.
So my question, I guess, is like, if you're in the phase of your life where you've kind of gotten to the space where you're really good at seeing a negative belief when it comes up, and you're really good at kind of navigating that and getting rid of all the negativity, but it doesn't seem to be showing up in your actual reality yet. Like things in your reality just are still like, you're surrounded by really negative people. Like everyone you encounter is still in that kind of negative space, but you're exiting it. Do you have any tips for kind of, I don't know, like making your overall external life more positive to match the internal, or is that just gonna kind of happen eventually?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is gestation. So I don't know how long you've been shifting your mentality, but we always got to remember that, again, change is 2-part. It's in the mind, well, 3-part really. In the mind, I want to be more positive, intellectualize, let me catch this negative belief, but then physically, we got to physically do something different as well. Yeah. So anyway, first thing that comes to mind is like, yeah, when you start changing the way you see things, your actual physical life does take a minute to catch up. The other thing that comes to mind though is, what is it going to take for you to, what has to happen physically for you to be like, there's progress. There's progress. Are we waiting to celebrate until there's some massive thing, or are we celebrating all the small progress points? And then what can you do physically to begin to alter the way things feel? And this would be a conversation around, setting up boundaries, reanalyzing your relationships and how you hold yourself there. Is there something in our physical space that we could change up and do different? Is there something in your routine that you could do differently? I hope, I don't know if any of that made sense, but I do think
That's all great.
a bit of catching up. Just making doing something.
I would say also, I think it's important when you are in that shift is to have a community of people that you can go to consistently on a daily basis, if not like 5 days a week. So for me, this mastermind that I'm in with Catherine gives me that community, because my family does not think like this. I mean, they're coming around, there's slow little things that are happening, but I keep consistent with the people that think the way that I like to think, which is this community. Doesn't have to be in person. It can be online if you don't have anybody in your life physically. So for me, that's been really key. And when I'm around people who are negative, so who bring me down, like my mother-in-law is a tough one. I just don't see her as often, and I don't stay as long. And so I think the last time I was with her, she started just slamming me for something. And I was like, oh, look at that. I have to go. I'm going to be late for appointment. It was so great to see you. We'll check up next week. So, I mean, I do things like that, keep it light and happy, but that's boundaries, keeping limits. So it took me a while to get there, but I can do it now. So anyway, those are my little tips.
Thank you.
I love that. I gotta say to that, like real talk, and I just did a TikTok about this in all transparency. I don't go around like boastfully selling. We did hire this new company that's sending out all of these emails, and we've been working to like reduce the load. We've completely turned off, I think, like it's called post masterclass email sequence, and they have it set up where they're going to send you like 8 days of emails like, hey, book a call, look at my offer. We've never done that. I don't like doing that. I feel like people that are meant to be with you will find you. So if you've been like in the ringer with all of these emails from me, I really am sorry, because that's not my vibe. I do want you to get emails, but not that many emails, so we're working on that. I will say though, this is like a paradigm of my own, of this, like, let's not be boastful. Let's not, I don't want to be salesy, pitchy, whatever. But my husband encouraged me to do a video the other day where I'm saying that I really do feel I am good at what I do. And I do believe that. And even Angela, speaking of our community, it's not a my community, it's an our community. If everybody wasn't there, it wouldn't work. And I've got multiple layers of communities, like the plug-in mastermind. That was my first ever offer that I created, coming out on my own and not being part of a sales team. And it is incredible. We come on and contemplate books 5 days a week. It's supposed to be 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, Monday to Friday, but it's more like 8:30 to 10. No pressure, but it's so good. People know each other. You contemplate deep ideas. You talk about life. You set your goals. You check in with goals. You can say things that, again, as I said at the start of this call, it's not commonplace. It isn't something you go and typically, for most people, that you go and, bye, Brian, that you go and talk to every day. Talk about every day. So I find that community really is huge. And even for myself and my own study, we joke about it all the time. The community will never shut down. It's literally life changing. The other thing I have, and I'm sure that you guys are aware of this, but I do provide a free coaching call to every person on the entire internet. And I do this for a very heartfelt reason. I know that when I first got into this work, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't even know what a life coach was. Hope I'm not glitching. Am I glitching? I think I'm back.
A tiny bit, just tiny.
Okay. I didn't know what a life coach was. And so having an opportunity to get on with someone and kind of learn about it was huge. But I've taken mine back even a step like further away from industry standard. It's not a sales call. Like, I'm not there to sell you anything. 99% of anything that I've ever sold on my own is because I am a request. That doesn't mean though, and this is part of my own evolution, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't let people know what I have for sale. So I've realized there's a difference in coming on here and telling you your life is going to suck ass if you don't come and work with me. That's not the case. But I do have things for sale if our energy aligns. And I feel like that's a very squeaky clean way to do it. I've been working one-on-one with clients for a very long time. I've had hundreds of one-on-one clients. Some of them I work with for just 30 days. Some of them, like Angela, we've been together for years now. And I love one-on-one, but I also love, and this is the magic of it, the plug-in mastermind and the community there and the collaboration there. And so I had this idea, what if I like smashed them together and created a whole experience? And that's exactly what I've done. Good. I'm so glad, Aurora. Yay. I've created something called phase 2, life after enlightenment, and talk about a process. Like, this is an entire process. It's so fun because right now it's in beta and we're getting to watch it kind of unfold as time goes on. We've got a beautiful group of students in there already, and they're working through the material. The way this works is I've taken basically the process that I've used for years with one-on-one clients personally and put it into like a curriculum, a whole curriculum of things. And we're working out, like, does every person need to do this one or that one? It's very informal. There's homework, there's calls. I set it up to be a 3-month experience. It's looking more like 5 months, maybe 6 months. Not really sure how long it's going to take us. And however long the curriculum takes, the student would get double that in the community to be sure we're able to integrate. Right now, we're doing weekly calls. So all of the students have one-on-one coaching included. And it's so much fun. I had it set up where it would be 4 calls the first month, 2, and then 3. But right now we're just doing it every week. It's so good. We're working through we did who you think you are now. We've done goals. We're moving into self-concept. I teach on all of the universal laws, then the process of the self, the duality of self, then also the process of personal creation. And so all of these modalities are put inside of this container with an entrepreneurial seasoning on it. So it is not a business course. It's open now. It's open now. It's open for enrollment. It's not a business strategist course, but because this is beta and everyone that's in here is running a business, they either already have one or want to scale one. So right now we do 2 live weekly calls, and we're thinking of moving, like having one of those to be the more spiritual side and then the other call to be the business strategy side. So how do I make a lead magnet? Yes, I'll absolutely share the link. How do I conduct a sales call? How do I craft an offer? How do I know how much this is worth? How do I build a membership group? Things like that will be discussed in there. And the library is beautiful. I'm obsessed with just the interface and how it looks and how wholesome and beautiful and how much information is already in there. And to think that we're only getting started is just mind-blowing to me. So if that feels like something that you'd be in alignment with, I would love for you to reach out to me. Like, I think we should book a call, get on the call, see if it fits into your lifestyle. We can talk about how much time it takes for you to get through it. I've priced it at what I normally charge for 3 months worth of one-on-one coaching. So I feel really good about that because I'm already giving the 3 months of one-on-one plus all of the curriculum and all of the community and the connections and the people. When you start developing friendships inside of work like this and you find yourself a battle buddy, someone that knows where you're going more than they know where you're at, you cannot describe the magic in that. There is something magical about the power of a mastermind. And that is what we are creating here. My communities are not the only communities on the internet. I'll be very upfront about that. There are some really beautiful communities out there. And I encourage every person, every time on every masterclass, every phone call, it does not matter to me whether you move forward here, but please go somewhere. Please keep moving forward somewhere. Proximity is power. Whether it's a course, a podcast, a book, some type of group, it doesn't matter in what way you guys are studying, but get yourself in a community of people that can honor you and support you and cheer you on and help you contemplate and see things that you can't see for yourself. It can change your life. I do believe it changes your life. And my motto for the last 2 years has been, your life can change in a matter of 3 months. This is like the average I see when someone gets into this work and starts really embodying the principles and the ideas. We typically have a really mental, emotional shift within the first month and a half, and your physical transformation in the second month and a half. And it's a rinse and repeat model, baby, over and over and over and over. The work works, and the work works in every industry toward every goal every time. And I believe this with all of my heart. Thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me today. We are going to get this replay processed, uploaded onto YouTube. I'll send you guys an email. We've got a few things that I want to attach to the email. You shouldn't be receiving hella emails, but I will make sure you have the information about phase 2, Life After Enlightenment. You'll have the replay, the PDF of The Greatest Secret, the link to my Facebook group, and the link to book a call with me. So all of those things will be there. I love you more than pickles. I hope everyone has a beautiful day. You're so welcome. Thanks for doing life with me. If I can ever be of any assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. Okay? Mwah. Love you guys.